You know how Netflix used to have everything, and now you need 5 subscriptions just to watch your favorite show? Well, that same thing is happening to online businesses right now, except it's worse. Because it's not just more subscriptions, it's that the companies selling you those subscriptions are also controlling whether you succeed or fail. And they just figured out how to profit from both sides. Now, what I'm about to show you is a pattern that started in one industry, jumped to another, and is now taking over the entire internet economy. And once you see it, you'll understand why running an online business feels harder than it used to. But before I show you what's happening in e-commerce, you need to see where this all started. Now, a couple years ago, if you bought a Volkswagen, you got the full car. All the features and all the horsepower, you paid once and you owned everything. And then they had an idea. What if we build the horsepower into the engine, but you have to pay a monthly subscription to unlock it? You own the car and the engine, but if you want 10 more horsepower, that's going to be $10 a month. Now you might be thinking, that's insane. Who would accept that? And you'd be right, because people were pissed off. But here's the thing. Volkswagen didn't care because they weren't testing whether people would like it. They were testing whether people would pay for it, and enough people did. Then there's Nintendo. They recently released the Switch 2, which has a USB-C port on the bottom. Now USB-C is a universal standard. You can plug it into any dock, any TV, any monitor. Except you can't because Nintendo artificially locked the video output. The only way to connect your TV to a TV is to buy their proprietary dock. And it's not because the hardware can't do it, because it can. Forcing you to buy their $90 dock makes them more money than letting you use a $15 universal one. And finally, there's Dymo. Dymo makes label printers. Small business owners like me use them to print shipping labels, product tags, barcodes, basic stuff. Now, a couple years ago, Dymo released a firmware update. And after that update, the printers would no longer accept third-party label rolls. Only Dymo branded labels would work. And it was the exact same printer with the exact same labels, but now, if you didn't buy their labels at their markup, your printer just refused to print. These are 3 companies using the exact same playbook, and what these hardware companies figured out is now spreading to every platform e-commerce businesses depend on. Now let's start with the platform most online sellers touch first, which is Shopify. If you've ever thought about selling online, you've probably heard of Shopify. They built their entire brand on one promise. Starting an online store should be simple, and for years it was. You paid $29 a month, you'd get a store, checkout, and all the tools you need to sell, and it wasn't fancy, but it worked, and that was the point. Shopify was not trying to nickel and dime you. They were trying to help you succeed, because if you did, you'd keep paying them. But somewhere along the way, that all changed. Now, here's what most sellers don't realize. Shopify has steadily raised their prices over the years, but they haven't really innovated in a very long time. And why would they? They outsourced innovation to their app ecosystem. Now, Shopify realized something brilliant from a business perspective, but devastating for sellers. If they included every feature sellers needed, they'd have to support it, maintain it, and keep it updated. But if they stripped out the features and forced sellers to use third-party apps instead, they could take a cut of every app subscription without doing any of the work. So that is exactly what they did. Now, if you want basic features like subscription products, upsells at checkout, customer reviews, you need an app for each one, and Shopify takes a percentage of every app you pay for. Now, the average Shopify store now runs 6 paid apps at $58 a month each, which is an extra $348 a month on top of your Shopify subscription. And over a year, that's $4,176 for features that should be standard, but hidden behind a mandatory app ecosystem. Now this is ingenious because Shopify profits twice. Once from your subscription, and then again from every app you're forced to buy, and they make money from credit card processing as well. And here's the trap. By the time you realize what's happening, you've already built your entire business on their platform, you've got 100 products in their database, 2 years of customer data, all your automations, and switching to another platform means we're building everything from scratch, so you stay and you pay. But Shopify is only controlling your store. These next companies control something even more important, which is your traffic. Let me show you what happened to Google. If you want to sell online, you need to advertise. And for most businesses, that means Google. Google Shopping, Google Ads, search results, and for years, Google gave advertisers control. You could choose your keywords. You could set bids for each one. You could see exactly where your money was going, which search terms triggered your ads, which products got clicks, and what was working and what was not. Now, it wasn't easy, but if you learn the system, you can make it work because you had full control. But then Google took it all away. A couple years ago, Google rolled out something called Performance Max. Now they sold it as the future of advertising. Just let AI handle everything. You just set a budget and let the machine optimize, which sounds great, right? Who doesn't want automation? But here's what they didn't tell you. Performance Max doesn't just add automation, it removes practically all control. You can't choose individual keywords or your placements. You can't choose where your ads are actually appearing, whether it be search, YouTube, Gmail, display. It's all hidden. Basically, Google's AI decides everything. And you just watch your budget drain and hope the algorithm is doing its job. By the way, if you're interested in learning how to start your own profitable e-commerce store, make sure you sign up for my free 6-day e-commerce mini course below. It's 100% free, and I guarantee you'll learn a lot. Now, Google will tell you this is better. The AI is smarter than you, but here's what they really did. They made you powerless. Because when the AI controls everything, you can't diagnose problems. You can't test theories, you can't improve. All you can do is spend more and hope it works. And that's the point. Because here's what Google figured out. When advertisers had control, they got efficient, they'd find the profitable keywords, they'd cut the waste, and optimize their bids down to the penny. And when advertisers got efficient, Google made less money. But when you take away that control and hide everything behind an algorithm, advertisers spend more, they can't optimize what they can't see, and Google's revenue goes up. Now Meta saw this and built Advantage Plus ads with the same loss of control, but it works just well enough that you'll hand it over willingly. But if you want to see the end game, all you got to do is just take a look at Etsy. Etsy runs ads for your products on Google, Facebook, Pinterest through something called off-site ads. When someone clicks and buys, Etsy takes 12 to 15% of the sale. But if your shop makes over $10,000 a year, off-site ads are now mandatory. You can't opt out or turn them off. You can't control which products get advertised. You can't even see where the ads run. Etsy decides, they spend, and you pay for it whether you wanted the traffic or not. Then there's on-site ads, which are ads inside of Etsy's own search results. There's zero keyword control, no placement control. You set a daily budget and just pray. And if you don't run on-site ads, your organic visibility drops. Now, here's how I see it. They built a marketplace, got you to build your business there, and then they took away your organic visibility and then started charging you to get it back. And when you made too much money, they made the ads mandatory and take a cut of every sale. This is the end game. And they're all doing it under the banner of making things easier. But the platforms controlling your store and your traffic, that's just half the equation. Because there's a whole other category of companies quietly taxing your business. Now here's a question most sellers never ask. Who owns your reviews? Your customers wrote them about your products and they're on your website, except they're not yours. Because most stores use third-party platforms like Trustpilot, Yotpo, Reviews.io, Judge.me. They all offer a free plan. You install the app, customers leave reviews, and everything works. But then you notice, photo reviews are locked behind the paid plan. Same with video reviews. Verified buyer badge is also locked behind a paywall. Responding to negative reviews, you gotta pay up. A trust widget showing your overall rating, that's only on the paid plan. The free version gives you just enough to get your reviews into their system, but if you want those reviews to actually build trust, you gotta pay. And once you have 500 reviews in their platform, you're stuck. Because if you cancel or switch, your reviews don't come with you, at least not easily. A very well-known review company has been notorious for making it near impossible to export your reviews should you ever want to switch. Now let's shift to AI next. Over the last 2 years, every software company added AI features to their product. So email, CRM, design tools, all the e-commerce apps. Everything is AI now. And they all want you to believe that AI is expensive to run, so we have to charge you more. But that's a lie. The cost to run AI is shockingly low. OpenAI charges about 0.002 cents per 1,000 words processed, which is 0.2 of a cent. Generate 100 emails with AI, it literally costs a software company less than $1. So what are they charging you for? Well, HubSpot recently added AI to their CRM for AI email drafts and AI content suggestions. If you want to use it, it's $10 for 1,000 credits. Meanwhile, OpenAI's raw compute cost is orders of magnitude cheaper, about 2 cents per 1,000 tokens. So basically, they are marking it up 500 times. Now, most companies' AI features aren't innovations. They're basically wrappers around OpenAI or Claude or Gemini. AI just gave SaaS companies an excuse to raise prices on everyone. Now, all these things I just showed you are happening all at once. Shopify raising the cost of your store, Google and Meta raising the cost of getting traffic, Etsy, raising the cost of making sales, and review platforms, raising the cost of looking trustworthy, and AI is just amplifying everything. All these platforms at the same time. And because it's happening slowly, a $10 increase here, a new fee there, most people don't notice. You just feel like business is getting harder and you assume that it's your fault. Because when they all raise prices at the same time, you can't really tell who's responsible. It just feels like the cost of doing business. So e-commerce is changing quickly. And if you want to stay on top of all the latest trends, then you need to come to my annual e-commerce conference, the Seller Summit. Just imagine a room with 200 of the best e-commerce sellers in the world making 7 and 8 figures who actually share their secrets. I handpick every speaker because they're in the trenches right now. There's no theory, no fluff, just proven playbooks that you can steal immediately. And if you're doing over 250K, I offer a private mastermind where you'll meet the people who will 10x your business. We sold out 9 years straight, so if you're serious about winning, you need to be there. Link is below for sellersummit.com. So how do you fight back? Well, you start by building the tools they're overcharging you for. So there was this loyalty program app that wanted to charge me $2.99 a month, which I thought was ridiculously expensive. So I built it in 6 hours using ChatGPT. Now, I'm not a developer by trade. I don't even know half of these programming languages. I just opened ChatGPT and typed, "Help me build a Shopify loyalty program app. Customers earn points for purchases. They can redeem points for discounts, step by step." And then 6 hours later, I had a working loyalty program. And here's what shocked me when I looked under the hood. That app, charging me $3,600 a year, was literally only 200 lines of code. There was a database tracking point balances, a form to redeem the points, and a display widget. That's it. So I did it again. I wrote a reviews app in a day, a subscription manager in a weekend, and an inventory tracking app in a week. Every app I built was $50 to $500 a month. I stopped paying. And that's $6,000 to $12,000 a year back in my pocket. But here's what really changed everything in my mind. Once you build one app, you start seeing through all of them. That $200 a month app that integrates your entire tech stack, it is literally just connecting APIs that are already public and documented. That $150 a month AI-powered email tool, it's literally just a ChatGPT wrapper with a nice interface. And that $99 a month analytics dashboard, it's pulling data you already have access to and just putting it in a nice chart. So you realize they're not charging you for complexity, they're charging you for your belief that it is complicated. And once that belief breaks, you can't unsee it. So here's how you get started. Open ChatGPT or Claude right now, look at your simplest, most expensive Shopify app, and just type this. I'm paying X dollars a month for this app, it does this, and you list the features. Help me build a simple version for Shopify, and then follow the instructions. Now, is this app going to be perfect? No. Is it going to be beautiful? Probably not. But will it work and save you thousands of bucks? Absolutely. Now, you don't need to build everything. Just start with one, the most expensive app you're paying for. And I'm telling you this right now, most apps are shockingly simple. They are literally just databases with nice interfaces. And the only reason you're paying is because you thought it was hard. But it's not anymore thanks to AI. Now, for the platforms controlling your traffic like Google, Meta, Etsy, here's the truth. You can't beat them at their own game. But if you keep playing by their rules, buying ads through their black box algorithms, you'll never win because they control everything. But there's actually one thing that they can't control, which is your brand. When someone searches best running shoes, Google decides who wins. But when someone searches your brand running shoes, you've already won. That is the difference between renting attention and owning it. So here's the move. Stop being completely dependent on paid traffic. Now, I'm not saying abandon ads. I'm just saying stop putting 100% of your eggs in a basket that Meta and Google are actively trying to make more expensive and less transparent. You need to build organic. I'm talking about social media content, YouTube videos, blog posts, TikToks, newsletters, content that educates your customers, shows your expertise, builds trust, and then brings traffic that you don't have to pay for. Because here's what happens when you do this. Google can change their algorithm tomorrow. Meta can double their ad prices overnight, but if you've built a following and trust, they can't take that away from you. You stop being a tenant in their ecosystem and start being a brand that exists independently of them. And here's the ironic part. The same AI tools these platforms are overcharging you for, you can use them to build this organic presence. ChatGPT can write your blog posts, script your videos, draft your social media, and create your newsletters. So instead of spending $500 a month on AI wrappers to optimize ads that you can't control, spend $20 a month on ChatGPT to create content that builds your brand. And the math is simple. With paid traffic, you pay forever, they own the relationship. But with organic traffic, you work once and you own the asset. And finally, remember what I said about those Dymo printers? Before you commit to any tool going forward, ask yourself 3 questions. Can I export all my data in a usable format? Can I leave without losing years of work? And do I own this or am I just renting this? If they make exporting difficult or impossible, just do not use that tool. Full stop. Because the only way to win this game is to stop playing by other people's rules. Build your own tools, build your own audience, build your own assets, and then keep everything you build portable. And that is exactly how you break free. Now that you understand what's going on, make sure you watch this video here on exactly how I would build a profitable e-commerce store from scratch today.